shifting into your desired reality, shifting into the state. So I've had some comments recently where people say, I don't need to affirm, it's too exhausting, I just decide I've got it and that's it. So let me just explain why we affirm, and for some people why it's easy to not, and blah, blah, blah. Right, so you may not have an unfavourable story about love. You might not have a subconscious belief that's unfavourable about love. You might have good stories and subconscious beliefs about love. So for you to decide, I am loved, I'm in a loving relationship, might be really easy for you because it's not fighting something that's opposing. You're not having to reprogram your mind because your mind already knows that that's possible for you, that's normal for you, that's familiar for you. Okay, but for other people, and a lot of people, they have unfavourable stories about love, about relationships, based off of the things that they experienced growing up, their parents, their siblings, everyone, everything. Okay, so for those people, they need to keep a better mental diet. They need to affirm. And remember, affirming is thinking. So even those of you that don't have an unfavourable story about love, when you are choosing to be the you that's in that relationship, the desired state, you're still thinking thoughts that imply that because those are your normal thoughts. Okay, whereas other people, they're trying to make those their normal thoughts. That's why they're affirming them. So when we don't change our self-concept, our core stuff, this is for those of you that have that core stuff. It's like there being mould on the wall and you're painting over it. When you're just like, oh, I'm in the desired state, you're painting over that mould. That mould eventually is going to seep through. It's going to come through. So this is why it's important to get to the root of it and change our subconscious beliefs around the things that we have unfavourable stories about. So like I said, for some of you, that might be really easy because you don't have an unfavourable story about love, about money, about health. But a lot of people do. So for these people, they need to create a better story. They need a better program. So for them, they will need to affirm more, think more in their favour to replace the thoughts that say, I'm a piece of shit, I'm not loved, I'm not good enough, people always leave me. So that's the only difference. But regardless of whether or not you're the person that hasn't got an unfavourable story about love or has, you're still, both of you, as both of those people are still thinking thoughts. You're still thinking thoughts of. It's not like you decide you're in the state and then you have an empty mind. Your mind is never empty. Your brain is never empty. You're always thinking. So to say, I don't need to affirm, you might not need to consciously think thoughts more compared to other people because your story is already favourable in relation to love and health and money. Does that make sense? I'll do... Sorry, there's a lorry outside. I'll do an example, right? So let's say I have a story... Let's say I have a story and a belief that people always leave me. That's my belief. Let's say as a child, my parents left me, abandoned me, and that's my story, right? And then there's a person who had a really great childhood. Their parents showed them so much love. Their parents had a great relationship. So between me and this individual, I will probably need to affirm, remember, think more favourable thoughts about love and relationships and people staying, because my program is unfavourable. My subconscious programming is unfavourable. So for me, it might take me a bit more conscious effort, say, to create that story and be in that state. Like I said, I can't be in that desired state without changing the core stuff. Like it's like the mould on the wall. If you just keep painting the wall, covering it up, I'm in the state, eventually that mould is going to come through. Eventually those subconscious beliefs that you have are going to rise, they're going to come up, they're going to show up. 3D is going to reflect them back. This isn't a thing to say, you're wrong, you're right, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. Everyone is different. Everyone has different beliefs. Everyone has different stories. Everyone has a different program. Everyone's had a different upbringing. So like I said, for some of you, it's easy to just go, oh, I'm just in the state. But even when you are deciding to just be in the state, you're still thinking. You're still thinking thoughts that imply you've got what you want. Are you not? You might say you're manifesting a specific person and you're like, I'm in a loving, healthy relationship with my specific person, and then you just affirm it once and you go about your day. Whenever you think about your person, you're still thinking thoughts that imply you're with them, and when you're going about your day, you're still thinking favourable thoughts about your self-concept. You're still, unconsciously, consciously, it doesn't matter. You're still thinking. Affirming is thinking. You're always thinking. So for those of you that say affirming is exhausting, it's not exhausting. It's exhausting because you think affirming is a technique, and it's not. You think you're affirming something like it's a magic trick to get what you want, and that's not the case. You're affirming to change your mental program. You're affirming to become that version of you, to choose to be that version of you, and now identify as a different version of you, to identify as the self that has XYZ. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. I'll do another example just to make sure it's really clear. So you might have person A who has a story that you have to work really, really hard for money and money doesn't grow on trees. And then you might have person B who has a really favourable story about money. Their parents raised them to know that money is easy to come by and there's plenty of money. Money is plentiful, right? So if those two people are manifesting more money, person B, for them, they might not have to repeat as many affirmations because they don't have an unfavourable story about money, whereas person A has an unfavourable story about money. So yes, for them, they will need to affirm, think, affirm, same thing, more favourable stories, have more favourable thoughts about money in order to change that program, okay? That scared me. My bedroom door just flung open, but it is really windy today. I'm rambling on a bit now, but I just wanted to clear that up because I know so many people get confused about it. And like I said, I'm not saying you're wrong, that person's wrong, that person's wrong, but affirming is just thinking. Some of us need to affirm more than others, okay? That's just that consciously, I mean, because we're always affirming. Your mind isn't a box that's just emptied as soon as you decide, I'm in the state, okay? You're always thinking thoughts, okay? Anyway, you're doing amazing, all of you. I'm so proud of you. Keep going, keep persisting. Everything is working out for you. Remember to give yourself that assumption. Everything always works out for me. I always get what I want. So if something unfavourable is happening in your 3D world, tell yourself, well, everything's always working out for me. I always get what I want. So somehow, some way, this that's happening, is happening for me. It's happening as part of my bridge or my stepping stone to me experiencing my manifestation in my 3D. But remember, the goal is not to get it in the 3D. The goal is to fulfill yourself in imagination. Everything you want to experience right now is available to you right now in this moment in your imagination. And imagination is the real reality. Your 3D just reflects that. So the more time you spend in your imagination or having your inner conversations or being the you in your mind that has what you want, the quicker, I think, the 3D is going to reflect that. So stop wavering and looking at the 3D like the 3D is the real thing. The 3D that is happening right now is just a backlog of your past thinking. That's all it is. That's literally, if you can just remind yourself that's all it is, it shouldn't bother you, it shouldn't faze you. Nothing that's going on right now is going to bother you or affect you because you know that all you have to do is go within your imagination and be the you that has it, experience it in your mind, okay? In your imagination, because that's the real reality. That's where everything is all happening all at once and you're going in there, selecting the reality you want, deciding who you are, thinking thoughts that imply it, enjoying it, embracing it, having fun with it, with the knowing, my door's going to slam now, with the knowing that your 3D world has to and will reflect it back, okay?